Hi there, Chris here with another fresh tip for you all. In this video, we are going to continue our look at painting the ADEPTA Sororitas from Mcfarlane Toys. And in this video, we are going to begin work on the armor sections of this figure. As you can see here, I'm just illustrating that these are the segments we're going to work on. And I've cleaned the mold lines, and I've given the armor parts that I'm going to paint a prime of gloss black using Stano Res Gloss Black, using a pt3 105, spraying it around 25 psi to apply. And as you can see, we have a mostly consistent glossy finish on the surface. Now, I really didn't want to lay in any more gloss primer, so I pretty much just did just one coat essentially on most of those parts. Nice even coat. We're going to use gunmetal from Tamiya, and we're going to use some X20A thinner. This is the recommended thinner for Tamiya paints, as these are mostly like an alcohol base. These are a different kind of acrylic. They're not water-based acrylics like you find with Citadel or Army Paint or any of the other common miniature paints. And with this, I'm simply spraying this out of my airbrush at around 20 psi, I do believe. I turned it down just a little bit just to apply this. The amount of thinner is recommended a 1:5 ratio, and so I sort of stick to that. It's really only a couple drops as opposed to about I poured the paint into the pot or the well of the brush, so it's really it was kind of just the eyeball. It's again, it's kind of a rough ratio as far as what you need to thin the paint down. You don't really need that much, as the Tamiya paints do flow like liquid right out of the bottle to begin with, so they don't really require that much thinning when you are using them. Here I'm just illustrating simply applying this base coat onto the helmet. And the helmet and a few sections like the shoulder armor, the gloss primer really helps the metallics really shine. You can see here on the torso, or the upper torso, the shine and reflectivity, and of course you can see how like the shadows get really dark and the high points are really bright. We're going to use some clear blue from Tamiya. We're going to use the same X20 thinner. This is basically kind of like an alcohol, and this I actually kind of over thinned it a bit. Basically, I'm going to use this, still spraying it around 20 psi, still using my pt3 105, and I'm just going to apply this into the shadows. So most of the big portions I'm going to spray directly up at the parts, basically using this to lay that blue into the shadows. I do not put a lot of this down. You can see here, like, it looks very blue on here on the screens, but realistically it is not that much of a shift in these areas. And I also put it into the corners of the shoulder pads. When I get to the legs, I also apply it like along the kind of panel line and some other areas where I take a bit of artistic liberty to apply the colors down. But essentially I'm laying it down kind of like how we would do a miniature, but not quite, as the scale for these is really quite large, and I'm not going to be painting these up like I would a miniature, as it just really wouldn't work very well. And I also plan on taking photos with these and things like that, so realistically it's not going to get very contrasty shadows and highlights, because I don't want that to play very look funny on camera kind of thing. Again, with the blue, reason why I mentioned that I may have over thinned the blue is because it actually kind of goes a bit matte on some of the areas. I notice it kind of dulls the metallic shine off the surface, and so that's something that I normally don't like. And with Tamiya Clear, it typically goes on very transparent, and you can see here, like, it still has the metallic shine, but in contrast to the rest of the surface, there is a noticeable difference. It might not be noticeable here on camera, as it all kind of looks kind of the same, but in person it loses a little bit of that metallic luster. I'm going to use chrome silver from Tamiya. I'm just going to use some thinner as well, same ratios as the gunmetal previously. Although I did turn the PSI up just a little bit, I think I put it back to about 25 PSI. And here I'm going to spray straight down at the surfaces. So a bit like how we would do a zenithal pre-shade on a model. So I'm spraying basically straight down, but it's kind of, I also take some liberties here because I also change the angle for some of the points of the backpack. You can see there, like, that lower portion actually catches some of the spray as well. But otherwise, this is really bright silver here. You'll notice, like, once we do the helmet here, it's going to get really bright. It looks really dark here. But see, the thing is also, like, you can still see some of, like, the lights reflecting in that helmet. And in hindsight, I probably should have put a gloss sealant down before I applied this layer, because as I build up this layer of chrome, it does kind of lose that shininess. It's nice and bright, but it's not as shiny as I like. I do like when the paint is very, very, metallic-y and lustrous and reflective. Now, mind you, this chrome from Tamiya is not, the best chrome in the world in comparison to like other chromes that I've looked at in the past, but this actually did a pretty darn good job. I did the legs, did the arms. You can see the arms also are not primed, because when we get to the cloth portion, we're going to reprime those sections. We'll mask off the arms and we'll do all those other areas. But that is it for the armor. We are going to continue on to another section. We'll probably next video, we'll probably look at the legs or the helmet or another detail, but stay tuned for those. Big thank you to my patrons. Without their support, these videos would not be possible. If you're considering Patreon support, click the link in the description and it'll take you off, and varying tiers of support. And a huge thank you to everybody who does. Take care of your brushes and they will take care of you.